Hello, 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 Facebook Live, hello, YouTube, hello, Instagram. What's happening, everybody? Marcus here. I'm going to talk about executing a successful social media campaign today here in this video. So what does it take to create a successful social media campaign if you're a business owner, if you own a restaurant, especially if you own a restaurant or own any business? This is crucial. This is the first step in creating. You can hire people, you can pay somebody, which I don't recommend just finding somebody to pay somebody, and there's a couple reasons why. A lot of people say, oh yeah, I have my office person doing it. I have my niece, she's in college, she knows how to post. There's a difference between posting on social media, on Instagram, because anybody can hire somebody for 10, 12 bucks an hour just to post away for them, who's a family member, who's a college student in their organization, and that anybody can do that. That I don't recommend doing that at all, okay? But I want to talk about getting to the first step of how to do the very first key step to getting a successful social media program in place. The very first step, no matter who you use, whether you're doing it yourself, whether you're hiring that $12 an hour person that thinks they know what they're doing, or whether you're hiring an agency that has a specific strategy and that says that they can do this, this, and this, who has a proven track record. The first thing you do working with any of these people is you get a photographer and get tons of photos. All right. I talk to a lot of restaurants that say, yeah, I have this great social media program, this and that, or they'll talk to me like, I want you to do my social media, Marcus. This is what happens a lot of times. We love what you do. We want you to do our social media program. And so I've learned not to do their social media programs because of the lack of content. They need to hire a photographer. Photographer needs to come in. They need to spend $400, $800, whatever it is, and literally photograph every dish they have in 2-3 angles, photograph the interiors, get people in dining, take photos of people dining, take photos of drinks, of recipes, cocktails, things like that, of pouring wine, of the outside of the building, the inside of the building. If there's a garden in the back, we have a fire pit, so it would be the fire pit in back, the garden, things like that. You need to have tons and tons of photos where then they're all separated into different categories. So you have food, you have drink, you have exterior, you have ambience, you have other people eating. So you have all these different categories that then from there, this photographer would take all these different things, set you up, then everything goes into a Drive folder or a Dropbox folder, Drive folder, Google Drive folder. And then from there, the social media agency, the social media person, the social media person on staff has access to that folder, to that Drive folder. And from there, everything is categorized. So food, if you want to categorize your food into appetizers, entrees, desserts, do that as well, subcategorize. And then what they would do is they would draw out a graph. Let's see, so you would literally draw out, I don't have any blank paper here, but you literally would draw out a graph of the topics, like a calendar, of the topics, and like the calendar, and you would put on the left-hand side, food, wine, beer, the owners, this, and this, and on the top you would draw, and you would literally, this would be just like a calendar, and you know that every 5 days you're doing food, every 5 days you're doing cocktails, every 5 days you're doing a picture of the owner, every 5 days you might be doing a quote, every 5 days you might be doing, you don't only need to rely upon the photos that they're taking for content. You can be taking off reviews and testimonials and things like that off of Yelp, off of TripAdvisor, or stuff that's going to happen in person. So, and they're not only going to use the photos that they took every 6 months. Realistically, if you take 500 photos, this is going to last about a year. All right, this is a year process. So the next year you get more photos done. All right, so then you do new things, new photos, new angles, different time of the season, and you just keep having this array of photos. Now, this really helps, folks, when the press calls you. Like I had New York, the I Love New York campaign called me or sent me an email saying, we'd like to feature your restaurant in the campaign, in the magazine or whatever they were printing. So I said, okay, now I have 100 or so photos in a separate press envelope folder on Drive that I give all these press access to. They actually emailed me back and said, wow, this is great. We had so many pictures to choose from. There's not many restaurants that do what you do with providing that easily readily available photos of your business. They really appreciated that. So it makes it that much easier for campaigns, for magazines, for the press to actually access your photos. So And again, you don't have to use all of these professionally done photos for your social media campaign. It's going to be photos that you're going to take your phone and use on the fly and take photos of things that are happening right then and there. So for example, if I were to draw out a graph for your business, and I would say, okay, your XYZ restaurant, Mondays we're going to do food. Tuesdays we're going to do a cocktail, and it might include the recipe. Wednesdays we're going to do a current event that's coming up. Thursdays we're going to do some type of review, some kind of quote, some kind of something. So we would literally draw this out and have 5 to 7 different categories. You can have more categories, so you can have 12 categories, depending on the scope of your business. If you want to, like we have an amazing beer list, so we literally have 200 beers, we have 200 wines. So we can literally have one day for wine, one day for beer, one day for cocktails, one day to feature a spirit, that's 4 days, and one day for food. So we're already at 5 days there. So this rotation, it can be 9 different categories, 11 different categories, or it can be 4 or 5 different categories. You might want to just feature your bands. Every Monday, you feature the band that's playing this week. If you do 2 bands a week, then you'd maybe want to do it Mondays and Thursdays, or maybe the day of the band. So you need to actually graph this out, but you need to have plenty of content. Content is king here, and you have to get a photographer to do that. There's no way if, ands, or buts. You hire a photographer. You also use your phone. Smartphones are very, very, they take fantastic pictures. Let's just face that. The iPhone 10, the iPhone 11, portrait mode. You put something on your bar, on a table. You get back, do portrait mode. The little light, yellow light flashes, and it blurs out the outsides. It's the stuff that you have now at your fingertips to make amazing high quality photos is incredible. But don't think that you can actually do this alone. You can do this alone, and you can just take photos yourself. What happens is when you hire somebody to actually do your photos, is it's forcing you to cook all of your food at once. This is a great way to then, when we do this, we also do staff training, because we're cooking one of every dish basically. We're cooking all these dishes. So we have all this food. This is a perfect time for staff training. So you have staff come in, taste the food, do a training. At the same time, the kitchen staff, you can go through and do all your specs of everything. You can every picture done and everything, so everything is right then and there, ready to rock and roll. A tip: if you're taking your own pictures, if you decide to take your own pictures here and there, what I found to be the best is if you take like a wood cutting board, and you put it on the ground and you shoot straight from up on a chair or something, those take amazing pictures like that. It's really amazing, that kind of photos. But if not that, I take from the side. And I have a couple different cameras that I use, but believe it or not, my iPhone is the one camera that I use more and more and more these days. I mean, I have the fancy cameras, but everything's right there at my fingertips with the iPhone. It takes amazing pictures. So yeah, so if you're going to start a social media campaign, folks, get a professional photographer, get tons and tons of content. You can be the best restaurant in your town, you can be the best restaurant in your county, the best business, whatever. But if you don't have content to display on your social media campaign, then people aren't going to really see the real you. So it's worth every penny of it. If you're a restaurateur, you can easily, we suggest this to a lot of our clients, to trade out for photography. And if you build a website, if you're building a website, that is another time that you need to get a professional photographer in. I know people that start websites, and I'm like, okay, when did you do the photo shoot? They're like, what photo shoot? Well, this person doesn't have me doing a photo shoot. I'm like, no. If you're an agency building a website, if you're building a website for somebody, you need hundreds of photos to pick from. Especially if you're a restaurant. If you are a restaurant, the number one reason people go to a restaurant website is to look at the food. So if you don't have the food on your website, you're losing out. And I know restaurateurs that do brand new websites, and no photographer ever came to take pictures of the food, nor do they have adequate pictures. And again, a lot of the clients, or some of the clients that we work with, this is the number one issue. Just not having content, no matter who's doing their social media, who's doing their website, just not having enough of that content. So if you're a restaurant and you're just like, well, I don't know if I can afford this or that, I would say call, put it on Facebook, looking for a photographer, trade out. There's a lot of photographers. I've traded out photography many times over the years for headshots, for pictures of me, for pictures of food. And I've also paid up to $800 to have a photographer come in and do nothing but the whole day of just photos of everything around. And both are well worth it if you find the right photographer. So that's my take on that, folks, on your social media program. Super, super important. Get the photographer, get the content, get tons and tons of content. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And until the next video.